I grew up in Portland, Oregon, surrounded by rain, pine trees, and the quiet hum of city life. By the time I was in my early 40s, life had already taken me on a journey full of twists and lessons. My name is Rebecca Miller, and though my friends often described me as strong and resilient, I secretly carried stories of broken trust and hidden pain. I was a mother to a wonderful son, Daniel, who had just turned 21. He was studying photography at the University of Oregon, his eyes always behind a camera lens, searching for beauty even in the ordinary. My marriage to David, my husband of 22 years, had begun like a dream but slowly turned into something I never expected. At first, he was attentive and supportive, building a life with me brick by brick. But somewhere along the way, he drifted. The late nights at the office, the unexplained phone calls, the sudden coldness, it all added up. By the time Daniel was in college, I knew in my heart what I had been avoiding. David was unfaithful. Discovering that kind of betrayal is like standing barefoot on broken glass. Every step you take afterward cuts a little deeper. I tried confronting him gently, asking questions without accusations, but his responses were vague and dismissive. Eventually, the evidence became too clear: receipts, messages, moments when he couldn't look me in the eyes. I didn't want to destroy Daniel's world by telling him everything at once, so I carried that storm inside me, smiling through family dinners and pretending nothing was wrong. I thought I was protecting him, but the truth was, I was protecting myself from the shame of being broken by the man I trusted most. One Saturday afternoon, when Daniel came home for the weekend, he surprised me with his usual enthusiasm. "Mom," he said, camera swinging from his neck, "I've been working on a portfolio for my photography class, and I want to include you in it. Would you let me photograph you?" At first, I laughed nervously. "Me? Daniel, I'm hardly picture material these days." "Of course you are," he replied, his eyes glowing with conviction. "You're real, and that's what makes the best photographs." His words stayed with me. I had spent so long feeling invisible, diminished by David's neglect, that I had forgotten what it felt like to be seen. So I agreed. The next morning, Daniel set up a makeshift studio in our backyard. The sun broke through the Portland clouds just enough to light the garden in a soft glow. He positioned me near the roses I had planted years ago, the same roses I used to trim when David would bring clients over for dinner. I wore a simple white blouse and jeans, my hair loose around my shoulders. Daniel lifted the camera and smiled. "Just be yourself, Mom. Don't pose. Just breathe." And I did. For the first time in a long while, I allowed myself to exist in the moment without worrying about what was broken in my marriage. Daniel clicked the shutter again and again, moving around me, capturing angles I never thought were flattering. But when he showed me the shots on his camera, I gasped. There I was, not the tired, betrayed woman I felt like, but someone strong, radiant, alive. Daniel had captured the version of me I had lost somewhere along the way. "See," he said gently. "That's the mom I've always seen." Tears welled up in my eyes. I didn't expect to cry, but the dam broke. I wasn't crying because of the photographs. I was crying because, for the first time, I realized I wasn't defined by David's betrayal. I was still me. Daniel lowered the camera and hugged me. "Mom, I don't know what's been going on with you and Dad, but I know you've been hurting. You don't have to hide it from me anymore." My heart clenched. I had worked so hard to shield him, but here he was, offering me the gift of truth. I nodded slowly. "You're right. Things between your father and me, they're not good. He's made choices that have hurt us both." Daniel didn't ask for details. Instead, he held my hand. "Then let me help you. You've always been there for me. Let me be here for you now." That moment changed everything. What started as a simple photography session became the bridge that connected us in ways I never imagined. Through the lens of his camera, Daniel gave me back pieces of myself that I thought were gone forever. Over the next weeks, Daniel continued photographing me whenever he visited home. Sometimes in the kitchen while I cooked, sometimes in the living room as I read a book, sometimes while I walked by the river. He turned ordinary moments into extraordinary portraits. Each picture was a reminder that I wasn't invisible. I was still alive, still worthy of being seen. Meanwhile, my marriage with David reached its breaking point. One night, after yet another argument where he denied responsibility and refused to change, I told him I was done. The words came out steady and strong, even though my heart trembled. David, I can't keep living in a marriage built on lies. I deserve better. Our son deserves better. He stared at me, shocked, perhaps expecting me to keep swallowing my pain. But I had already crossed the line from silence to strength. The divorce process was painful, as any ending is, but through it all, Daniel remained my anchor. He reminded me every day that the end of one chapter wasn't the end of my story. He even submitted a series of photographs of me for his final project, titled Resilience. When I attended his class exhibition, I stood in front of a wall filled with portraits of myself. Each image told a different story: the quiet strength in my eyes, the laughter in a candid moment, the vulnerability of tears caught in sunlight. Strangers walked by and commented on the beauty and authenticity of the photographs, not knowing they were looking at a woman piecing her life back together. Daniel walked up beside me, his arm brushing mine. You see, Mom, you're not broken. You're a story of resilience. And I'm proud of you. For the first time in years, I believed it. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was living. Life after divorce wasn't easy, but it was honest. I rebuilt myself piece by piece, rediscovering passions I had let go of: gardening, painting, long walks by the river. And Daniel, with his camera always nearby, continued to remind me that beauty existed even in the smallest cracks of life. Looking back now, I realize I never expected that simple offer, "Mom, let me photograph you," to change my life. But it did. It wasn't just about photographs. It was about being seen, being understood, and finding the courage to reclaim my story. And while David's betrayal had once felt like the end of everything, it turned out to be the beginning of something new. A journey not of destruction, but of rediscovery. My son offered to photograph me, but what I didn't expect was that through his lens, he would give me back myself.